Well, I have got a lot of firewood in, and I'm just so glad I'm...
Here, Will needs this.
Yeah.
Do you have any cedar? I need cedar.
I do have a lot of cedar. I'm not very computer savvy, but somebody requested Cafe Review, Maine, Vermont, someplace like that, wanted some poems, so I sent him some unpublished poems. Here are two of them. Sanguis Spiritualis, for Constance. And this was, this fell victim to a very lucky accident where there was a tape recorder that was one of those double tapes, and so I got an accidental break and feedback, and it was even better that way, but it goes here, it goes this way. The goddess had a veil, and no one could look upon her face and live. But one man had to see her face, and so he lifted her veil, and there he saw the face of the goddess was his face. You will never meet a person who believes in godness or spirit with faith in a practice depressed. I'm beloved. Why should I be perfect? Disidentify with consciousness and ego so consciousness can be free to see the whole soul, essential nature, a moment of love, a glimmer of light. From the moment you don't expect so much, it works. When you have love, you need nothing. Without love, you need everything your way. You must fill the nothing with everything and don't know what you're longing for. Touched by selfless love, particles of light, through every vein of the body, tears of joy that take away hardness. When I open my window, the darkness conquers my eyes, but behind my eyes, eternity burns. Imagination is the only lucid way to meet life. Alan Pissin. The flying penis prepares a community of antlers, a tranquil reunion of great singers, a fraternity of the liberated spirit, where regards are never amiss. Interrogate the travelers who have seen the long history of combat, declaring their independent mentality, inventing private property, declaring their difference from animals. The intact lords of desire despoil the qualms of the unadventurous, abandon the false heritage of inhibitions, and shamelessly sow luminous promises in a mirror-lined room with a pink dresser. And I got the mirror-lined room with the pink dresser from Allen Ginsberg's 1965 journals. And last, tonight, from one of the last two of these, Coyote Run. Better at the hands of powers far greater to fall than that cruel hand of... Better at the hands of powers far greater to fall by that cruel hand of wilderness that molds pristine nature than to be torn apart by those who kill without even meaning it. Life is worth more than honor. One is accountable to survival for those who one exposes oneself to, even if the bum tripper didn't mean to bring you down. Better waterless in the shade of endless desert sun with sweat evaporating than crippled by criticism, waste a life bickering over who was right or wrong.
In that calm, reassuring voice. Huh? It's like, yeah, right before he pulls the knife. Dear friend, Will Stibb. Thanks for coming down, Will.
I'm glad I made it up.
And, okay, I forgot to remind everybody, 5 minutes, as Will did well within that. In fact, we owe you some time. I'll catch you up later. Yeah? Huh?
One more, I didn't use up my pipe.
Oh, you didn't use your
No one to support me. I stand by tricks. I lean. I brush past, lost in the crowd.
Will is never lost in a crowd. That's not entirely true. Okay, 5 minutes, uplifting, lots of joy. Lots of joy tonight. Okay, we had Dave and Al got the serious stuff, so I want everybody to be joyous. Yoshi's looking at me like, I don't know. We have a few more politically minded people here in the audience this evening. Our next reader is Yoshi Vidal. Come on up. Just need a mic.
Okay. Next week is the first anniversary of my mama's death, and my mama was my first muse, and I wrote her dozens of goddess poems. And this poem I wrote her a poem on her birthday every year, and this was the beginning of my mom slipping into dementia. And I was away. I was in Catalonia, living in a little town called Vic. And my mom and my dad would go on cruises, and this was their last cruise. And this is called Sailing the Sea of Cortez. And it's Montsenya is where I wrote it. Montsenya is a holy mountain in Catalonia. So here it is. While fall colors riot in California hills, it is the season fall fires rush down out of them, riding dry Santana winds from the east to eat all fuel, fence, tree, house, barn that they happen to meet. My mother has put her house in order, painting its public face, replacing faulty panes. It sees clearly what is to come. She is leaving to sail on the Sea of Cortez. She has put her house in order. I am not there to see her off. Out my window, the plain of Vic. Its foggy fall skies and tall, slender Catalonian poplars, while my mother prepares to sail on the Sea of Cortez, and I am not there to see her off. Will you visit with cetacean sisters one last time, mother, the birthing womb? 6,000 miles they come, we do not travel as far. To warm Baja shelter of shallow coves, they have already swum past your shore. Do you yearn to follow one last time, mother, share the breeding, birthing lagoon? Today she is there among that teeming seascape, and I have left the plain of Vic to climb Montsenya. Here it is Tots Santos. There it is the Day of the Dead. I will visit no cemeteries. The skies have cleared. I have climbed above the plain. Snow on the far Pyrenees to the north. To the south, Mallorca and the Mediterranean Sea, shroud of straggling clouds, oncoming mist. But I see you, Mother, sailing the Sea of Cortez. I sing you this shaly, spring-fed landscape under my feet, bereft of any sheltering canopy overhead, midday Todsans, my body shade for spreading time, singed bracken, dwarf evergreens that emerge from Montaigne's rocky ribs. Is this how it feels, Mother, alone? With no generation between you and the swallowing sky? I was in Catalonia for about 9 months with my husband and my daughter. He was in Catalonia for 5 years, so we kind of had this back and forth time. Then I went back to here while my daughter was in high school. And this is called Each Day, a poem I wrote to him while he was there and I was here. Far from me, husband, lover, self, each day the dawn injures me with intimacy, red welt of horizon, molten sky melting into red gash of world mouth. I would take our separate dawnings into my mouth, beloved, sunlight gilding the tongue, scalding the lips, pass them, warm and moist, into yours, that the consent that is a kiss might cross this chasm, devour the distance, cauterize the wound, each day at the curve of the earth, joined to me, husband, lover, self. And then these last two short ones I wrote this summer. I went up to Humboldt Bay with my sister-in-law, and then she was off doing things, and I had 4 days that I had to wait for her to finish what she was doing, and I had to find the ocean because I need the ocean. And this is called The Way Through. I'm getting along, love, even without you, managing to find Land's End, the ocean, whenever it rolls near. The light as it passes at its own pace through the far reaches caresses my skin and calls to this clematis climbing along the fence. Why it seeks us out, where it's going, how your last fire is related isn't clear, but the blue of the clematis is, and the heat of the day as I work, and somehow the way through the Eel rivers wanders in tsunami-warned wetlands, opens before me, until I'm standing at Pacific edge, placing both hands into the wild cold, just as it pulls away. And this one's called Slipping Away. Water's edge, wind snarl of white cap and unkept hair, rush and susurration of years roll me smooth against this rasping absence. Only this moment standing with you in the barest whisper of surf, heart, in hand, then only this flood and roar, and neither hand nor heart nor shore. Only this moment, you on the rocks at Devereaux, infant son zipped into your jacket, his feathery halo of just emerging angel hair brushing against your beard. You two, the rocks, and molten gold and lead of sky, water, as sun extinguishes itself in sea the way you would in me, then swoon into sated infant slumber, dreamless and deep, while lying next to you, now fully awake, I held vigil over perfect surrender.
So what do you think? I was saying uplifting stuff. She said, I think there's nothing wrong. Huh? Nothing. There you go. Nothing wrong with a little love poem to get the blood going, you know. Okay, let me tell you a little secret. I'll tell you a secret about being on time when you're doing your poems. Okay? This is called a diver's watch. Okay? Get them at the sporting goods stores. I got this online. It's a Timex. Keeps on beating. But anyway, the bezel turns around. So you set the bezel, the zeros at your little hand, and when it comes around to whatever time you have, you're done. Now I'll tell you, the story is, you know, we're dealing with corporate America here. And I had bought several of these things and taken them back because they pooped out at Kmart. You know, $20 or whatever. And I thought, $20 is good. But they didn't last. They kept changing time on me. Automatic, you know. It's like, what the hell is that? I take it back. The last time, before I decided to go with the Timex online, I take it back and the lady says, you got the receipt? I said, no. She says, you can't turn it back in if you don't have the receipt. I said, oh. She says, well, that's the deal. I said, well, you know, don't you have my credit card thing? I know you guys looked that up last time I was here. No, we can't do that. So what I did is I went and bought another one. Took the broken one off, put it in the box, took it back, turned it in, got my money back, had the new watch out the door. So there I had the receipt. So there you go with corporate America. They can be beaten. But the watch broke again. So that's when I went to the time. So anyway, that's the story. Think about a diver's watch if you're going to get up here on stage and do this a lot. It does help you from yelling out, wanting to know where you're at in your time. But I noticed that both of our guys tonight stayed right into the time frame. That was very good. I think Dave practices at home.
I do.
I know.
Professional. I could have used a couple more minutes for both of them. They were so good.
I think so. They were both short.
You should have yelled and said more.
Yeah. A little bit more fire.
Darn, we missed our chance. Yeah, hillbillies. What the hell?
Yeah. I thought they were great.
Oh, you know, I was going to ask if I could.
Well, now he's back there putting on a show, for Christ's sake. Okay.
I'm still figuring out what the hell a basil is.
A basil?
I got this idea of a leaf going in my spaghetti.
Basil, that's what it is.
You guys, you come into my world. It's Kmart and Walmart.
Those are probably Chinese watches, you know.
These here? Timex. I paid $160 for this thing. It weighs a ton. You know? And I'll tell you guys another secret for the gals. Wait. Oh, wait a minute. Jules just gave me the sign. I'm over time. So our next reader is Peter.
So actually, I've got two poems here that are uplifting.
Oh, good.
This one is called Resurrection at 15. I tell you, when I was 15, I thought I had the world's seams unraveling to my touch. Everything was defined by a fine Swiss watch, ticking to precision and hands seeking perfection, little jewels all aligned. And when I reached into my pocket, there was the time looking into my defined mind. Here I controlled spaceships and rockets, and the growing of the vine, and the season of life were wrapped up in me, for I was timekeeper, sweeper of the dust before me. But when you're young, you think you'll outlive the sun, until Mac dies on the front room carpet. He just spit out his tongue, rolled back his eyes. Surprise, surprise. Death came in spite of my precision Swiss watch. So I took to my room, put on the light, kept thinking of death, then thinking of life. I've been too sheltered, like Gautama Buddha. I thought everything lived forever. So I took out my watch, put it on the floor, squashed its unreality into oblivion. Never again bull of a Swiss time, never again anybody's time. I read, reread Siddhartha, started loving stones for some reason, started listening to raindrops, became cosmic without knowing what to do. The quantum people, they had something to say about nothing, doing nothing. The next day I put Mac in his grave, his bulbous eyes peeked out from his blanket. He showed me you don't die, life's in every eye, death is just a dream. I threw brown loam on his old bones. He just stayed still, like before, when he was in the womb, shovelful after shovelful, and then he was gone. Time had nothing to do with it. His lumpy old body had ingested all it could and left. So he hung up his hat and left this world for good dog heaven. I remember the shovel. It was broken, but it still worked. I put it in the tool barrel to be fixed. My eyes were too blurry to see. I damn my innocence and damn my ignorance. Now I knew life was but a dream, and time and space, though they seem a reality, are just spaciousness sweeping clean the dead from the living. Now I never turned out to be a rocket scientist or a PhD in chemistry, but I did turn out to realize the beauty of bulbous eyes staring out at the sun. One more time. Mac was good, a big oaf. I'd never forgotten the amazing life where never a word was spoken. A few days later, the remains of my watch were seen. Why did you smash time? I said, what time? Whose time? They said, bull of the time. I said, bullshit. I wrote this 3 years ago, and I read it here just after I wrote it, and something just told me to bring it tonight because one of the readers likes cars, so I brought it for him. 51 Chevy, and this is when Cesar Chavez was a young guy, and it's about people living in East LA, and I used to spend a lot of time there because I live real close to East LA, so it's from life experience. Hey man, look at my fine 51 Chevy. It's got twice pipes, man. Candy apple red. It can do headstands, man. You know what I mean? Last night we was cruising up and down Brooklyn Avenue. Came up to Soto Street, man. Ran the red light. My white walls and spinners were glowing in the night. We had 6-pack of Brew 102. It's cool beer, man, made up on Main Street at the edge of East LA. We were sitting low, almost to the ground. We lowered this fine Chevy, man, and she feels the streets of East LA. She's a beanwagon, cool music from his special AM/FM radio. Hey man, cool it. Richie Valens is singing La Mamba. Let's cruise over to City Terrace and see the chicks walk back and forth in their senorita dreams. Maybe we can give them a ride, cruise along in third gear, let them thrill to the feel of that new tuck and roll, red and black man, Tijuana special, like the sun falling down and the moon shining on this bitchin' car as it bounces up and down on its fine-timed suspension. It's this car, man. This car's in a dream. 51 Chevy, man, so clean. Ricardo just steers with no hands, man. Just gentle persuasion, like talking to the senoritas. The softer your hands, the further they travel. We could just cruise all night, go to the Texaco, get $1 of gas, stop at Pedro's Market, spend our last dollar for a six-pack of 102, then cruise, man, just cruise. Let the like the candy apple crawl under your skin. Listen to the twice pipes, man, a gentle roar, tumbling along Soto Street, down to Brooklyn Avenue, man. Then we do a U-turn at Sears, come back going west. The sheriff's up ahead. He's been cool all night, hasn't measured our frame to see if we're high enough in this lowrider machine. Probably has something better to do. No siren, no bullhorn, just a glance from his eyeball. It's 2 a.m., man. Everybody's heading home. We sit real low, feel the moon glow, watch the stars shine on Brooklyn Avenue, cruise over to Manuel's taco stand, use our credit, get 4 tacos to go, man. Head over to City Terrace, drop the Weeses, man. These nights, they never end. We just reawake with memories of that Chevy sitting outside on the lawn, waiting for its wax job, waiting for Ricardo's hands to labor at the 76 station to bring home diamond gloss wax and super chrome polish. Hey man, you know Ricardo's been had when he spends more money on that candy apple red Chevy than he does on roses or Emily. Next time you're in East LA, swing down Brooklyn, look at the avenue of Chevys, man, all cruising in a dream. They all go around and around, circling the streets where their homes sit, and you'll see Ricardo letting his ice pipes roar and pulling up to the light so people can see his diamond glass wax job shining beneath the moon. He'll never have more than he has now. But man, that 51 Chevy, it's a bitchin' piece. Who could want more than tuck and roll comfort and a view of Soto Street running into their Mexican heart, cruising through the streets where you were born to love Chevys, man. There's nothing else to understand. Simone S.A., Simone.
Yeah, there you go. Yashi, you sneaking out on us?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll miss you terrible.
I have to drive the canyon and I did
Oh.
this morning.
Well, we'll miss you horrible. Next time you come into town, stop by the coffee shop. Dave or I, one will be there for sure. You know that. Or Julie. Okay. Somebody's here that we all love. How's that? There you go. Helen Strange come to share the evening with us tonight. You got stuff? She's got stuff. Come on up. Ladies and gentlemen, Helen Strange.
This took place in East LA, and I saw those cars. It was on Soto Street. Yeah. The souped up Mexican. 5:50 a.m., February 9th, 1971. Routine morning at Los Angeles County General Hospital, where I lived, trained, and worked on the wards. In my 9th floor dormitory room, readying for duty in stockings and starched uniform, I stood in front of the mirror, pinning my official school nursing cap onto my head, anticipating coffee, chit-chat, a quick bite in the cafeteria before heading up to the wards. 6 a.m. The floor beneath me, the walls around me, vibrated. I knew what this was. Earthquake. Where I lived in the Mojave Desert, we had many. With no building over 2 stories, the slight, frequent, millisecond jiggles left us undisturbed. This one was different. Here I was, 9 floors up, in a man-made structure. Jittery objects clattered against each other. Loose items danced with hot feet on countertops. Then, earth became liquid, swelled, undulated, like the open ocean. A thunderous roar welled up from below, tossing me in its wake. The floor tipped and pitched at impossible angles. I braced myself between the sink and a nearby wall to keep from being thrown. The entire 10-plus floor building careened, moaned, creaked, bending in weird gyrations. Seconds morphed into eternity while my strangely calm mind assessed. This building's going down, I thought. I'll be going down with it. The floors above will crush us. We will crush the floors below. This is it. Buried under rubble, my time to die. Sights, sounds, thoughts, feelings, physics compressed into a singularity of chaos. A water main burst out of a fractured wall. High river rapids gushed in the hallway as though the Colorado River had been unleashed in its corridors. Frantic, disoriented student nurses screamed, wailed, tumbling out of their rooms onto the buckling floors. They didn't know what was happening. They'd never been in an earthquake. I wobbled out my room to see them desperately pressing their familiar down buttons in frenzied hopes those elevator doors could open and transport them away from their terror. Realizing the shafts must be twisted and broken, a few yelled out, herding us all into a stampede down the stairwells. 6:15 a.m. Mild shudders and spasms waned to stillness. Silence. It was over. We gathered in the lobby, all of us together, wide-eyed, wordless, looking at one another in a shared stunned amazement. Amazed even to be there at all. 24-hour post-evaluation. Our dormitory, damaged but still standing. The main hospital building, too, all 19-plus stories of it. Turns out the 33 earthquake in Long Beach inspired the architects to design flexibility features into the structures. While there was significant damage, all buildings in the complex survived. Not so in other areas of LA, closer to the epicenter. Older brick buildings, freeways, and the Olive View Hospital collapsed. Many died. A reservoir dam jarred to the near breaking point required the immediate evacuation of 80,000 people living below it. If the quake had lasted a mere 2 seconds longer, engineers claimed the dam would have burst with no time to evacuate. Reagan declared the region a disaster area. National and regional news shows buzzed. Total damages more than $500 million. California's third worst earthquake in lives lost exceeded only by San Francisco in 1906 and Long Beach in the 30s. If the LA quake had happened during business hours, the loss of life would have been high. The following days, unforgettable. At that time, LA County General Hospital was among the largest in the world, a 2,000-bed teaching hospital. I had often chafed at the hierarchy of distinctions, the obvious inequality in opportunity, the coded colors of both skin and clothing, white doctors in white coats, white nurses in white uniforms and caps. At that time, people of color were rare as MDs and RNs. They mostly filled the lower ranks, as laundry workers, LVNs, aides, surgical technicians, orderlies, custodians, food workers, their uniforms in blues and greens. The higher-ups often commuted in their cars from the San Fernando Valley, Pasadena, wealthier regions, while the support staff often issued from Compton, Watts, East LA, arriving by city bus. The communication gap was wide. But during that earthquake time, social divisions on the hospital grounds dissolved. There we were, together, having undergone something bigger than us all. Hospital staff, workers, distant under normal circumstances, met eyes, talked with one another, telling stories about where they were when the earthquake hit, inquiring about the damage done to one another's neighborhoods, apartments, and homes, and genuinely listening to one another. We heaved one communal sigh of relief as we counted our blessings, mourned losses large and small, chatted with one another, decompressed. In time, we all snapped back to our customary independent categories. Yet for that brief interlude, we were all one. Calamity's blessing in disguise.
Ellen Stray. So you survived. I'm kidding. No. You guys are coming up. You guys are coming up. Got one more guy before you, and then you two. No. These guys drove all the way from Rockland to come up here and read for us. Now they're trying to sneak out. We've been waiting. I've been waiting. I thought, Emma, Wall, and Mary are going to just rock this joint. Oh, boy. All right. This is what you do. Oh, no. Wait till you see this next guy. He's a real dud. He's a real dud. You'll surpass his anytime. My dear friend and our board member, Chris Olander. Actually, he's a great performer.
Okay, thanks for Mary and Emma for hanging out here. You know, this is a 50-page poem. The longest page I've got is, however, fortunately for you guys, I'm only going to read 5 minutes of it. Basically, this takes place in Yosemite wildlands, and it's taking place at Paiute, the headwaters of Paiute Creek, which is made famous in the Dharma Bums by Gary Snyder and that. And this is one of my places where I took off to. And it's a political poem, believe it or not, about life. 2 hikers approach, 2 so far behind me. Fast hikers to catch up so quickly. First human seen close for 3 days. We greet each other. Hi, how long you been out? The man asked me. What day is it? I ask. We laugh together. Talk of bears and weather. They're in a hurry, think snow may fall. They leave wanting to set record for distance covered in 2 weeks. Once a year, each year in unison, they hike off, stop a few hundred yards upstream, set up a minimal camp. Continue arranging camp spot as crackles and wind lightens. Scents lush here, high mountain air, brisk, gusty, conifer, refreshing. Go to stream for water and dip in bucket. White mass stuck in branches at stream surface rush just downstream and bend, plastic looking. I cross the stream and retrieve the glob, a plastic diaper, no longer carrying its load, stained where its payload was carried, downstream somewhere, still flowing, food for thought. What will consume it? One diaper's load may have benefit. Does plastic? Where can one not be reminded of it? How much is too much? Where does it all go? Out of sight, out of mind, packed away in little deposits, safe in the cells of the world's being. It's in the dump. Why not just look at pretty things? You can choose what you want to see, not nasty unmentionables we must suffer for the goods of our lives. Saws of unnoticed, unexcusable acts, sins of omission or commission. Who will judge? Who will suffer such symbols? Perhaps hating our unperfect lives, poisoning our thirst, out of control, rivers of chemical sewage, beastly aligned and religionized, such successful failure. In denial, human necessity moves over the landscape. Tribes of the Kurgans, Scythians, Assyrians, the Bantu, the Mongols, the Europeans, the world's populations beyond the carrying capacity into war, pestilence, disease on the plain of settlements between the discrepancies and extinctions, the lives lost, the horrible cost of scenery. Nothing changes. Everything renews. So much possibility. I know I must choose or have choices made for me. When will the animals we are become unhuman? What were we that each of us now have become? And bless each and all one, alone. Sacred in our rituals, estranged, we kill it all, suffering, ignorance, greed, sloth, fear, weak pleasures sought in the fatal flaw, the fortunes, reversal, and the great sin, watersheds we poison with offal. How many more to punish ourselves? Somebody, please stop me before it's too late. Must I carry it out? Still got time. My body among its elements, far from the demands of society. 2 days I have seen no one. I have gone 9 days without seeing another human, hiking across these Sierras in the January snow. How long can one live without seeing another human? It is good to be alone at times of self-purpose, experiencing life and death. What is larger than ourselves? Beyond the plastic codes of human measurements and words, divinity we desire to name among conventions and consciousness, beyond the sacred to what it is. Does it exist if not named? Can we know it, pure of myself? All things coming into existence experience what they are in a great fountain of possibility. I know I must love myself to love another. My body feels good, gaining strength with each day hiked. Muscles tighten, swell with vigor, steam rising from hot water washcloth rubbing off the sweat dust from the hike. Refreshing, reviving in the chill, dark air, breezy. Firelight leaping in the dark forest. Orange gold yoke surrounding my body. Warm, good to senses. Strong, supple and thin, even with the knees' weakness. I must focus attention to each step, sure of purpose and balance. Learn to shift with slips or turns. Shapeshifter. This body serves me well when good to it. It has brought me into all these sensations, clean, naked, between the cold air and the campfire's heat, high in the mountains, deep in the forest. The pines rustle and the soft roar rushes the virgin air. I breathe. I am not sure why I'm here. I like this place. There are essential ingredients. Life vital, I need here. I don't know what it is before me. I feel good when I'm here alone, beyond all boundaries of civilizations, etiquettes, sophistries, restraints and permits. I live learning basic necessity, laws of survival, food, shelter, and warmth, and a few primitive tools maintain my journey's discoveries. To succeed here, I must work for what I want, a sacred beauty, pain, and pleasure with all here. What I need, I carry with me. Light on the land, moving quickly, rock hop quick, sometimes invisible, angles in sunlight, essential ingredients among all others here. Footsteps vanish a few hours after I pass. The sounds I create penetrate the clear pool's symphony. Splashing bushes, trees, rocks, lights, fragments are my directions. The trees, bushes, rocks, and animals enjoy my passage. In my admiration for them, I bless what I touch. A few have saved my life. A few have wounded me. I need them all to learn my boundaries of my space. I honor and reverence their being here. They teach me well in this matrix of existence.
Chris Olander! Whoop, whoop, whoop. You had to go messing with the thing, didn't you, for Christ's sake? There we go. Okay, now, you guys, she gets that look. Okay, now we are going to be a warm and inviting audience, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes. Emma Wall drove all the way up here from Rockland, and she'll be driving home in the dark. There's spooky, scary things out there. She's waited this long to come up here and to be loved by us. Now, a warm, rousing welcome for Emma Wall. Emma Wall!
Thank you.
Hold your hand.
Thank you. This is just part of a longer story, and it's really about how we as children used to run around the neighborhood and steal fruit, and how we were familiar with what we could eat and what we could not eat. It's called Get Your Fruit On. If Mom knew how often her kids had shimmied up the Eversons' cherry tree, eaten their fruit while sitting on their fence, staring through their window, she'd have been mortified. Now I'm rediscovering a love relationship with fruit. The urge to make friends with fruit again started when my daughter was born. And before that, in my adult life, it was just something I ate once in a while. Until I became a parent, I never paid attention to how easy it is to get derailed and go for the filler foods and the sweets instead of the good-for-you foods. Growing up, it was second nature to reach for walnuts, almonds, oranges, and prunes because we were surrounded by them. And lately, whenever I eat certain fruits like strawberries and cherries, I think of all the swiped fruit I've eaten, and unavoidably it takes me down the path of sweet memories long forgotten. My plate is piled, partly because it is good for me, and partly because I like it. As I approach the table and glance out the window, these memories of childhood rush at me like birds let out of a cage. One of those birds is a memory of the bright yellow flowers, simple and about an inch wide, that sit on top of the smooth, long green stem. It had no leaves that I remember, but by some invisible passing of information between friends and friends of friends, it was known that the pea-weed's stems were sour and you could chew them and spit them out. What kid could pass that up? We pulled pea-weeds to our heart's delight, which I think is sorrel, by the handfuls from the empty field on First Street. From one neighborhood to another we wandered like homeless children, somehow knowing where to go, filching fruit off of trees and eating things we never would have eaten if we'd known it was good for us.
She's said you guys weren't nearly as bad as you thought you were. Actually, you guys are great. You were wonderful. Do come back. And her co-pilot, or are you the pilot?
I'm a navigator.
Oh, you're the navigator. She's come up with. These guys have a writing group down in Rockland. In Rockland, and there's more of them.
Maybe someday we'll all come.
Bring them all. Bring them all. We got lots of room here, and we love new people to come and share with us. The navigator is here tonight, and we again want to welcome her warmly and strongly.
Do they have a reading series? Do you guys have a reading series?
We haven't been brave enough to do that yet. I've been trying to get some of the other ladies to come up and do this, and this is actually the very first time I've done it. And so, we've been meeting for about a year now, and we've been together for a couple of years. But, yeah, we haven't gotten there yet.
I've talked to Emma on the phone for 2 or 3 months now, and I was pleasantly surprised to see her. I didn't recognize her.
It was actually a spur of the moment thing.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was. So.
Shit, it wasn't my charm. It wasn't my charm and wit. But
Not this time.
no, Jesus Christ! I missed again. Okay, our next reader, the navigator. We need to welcome her warmly too. Mary Voska. That's it. Be careful. You want me to hold you on that?
No.
Okay.
My quiver up here all
Oh,
on my
you're
own.
good. You're good, kid. You love me.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Honestly, this is the very first time I've stood in front of a group of people that have such wonderful words, from that just pour forth. I'm very impressed, and I feel very puny, in this group of minds.
What was your first name?
I actually do a lot of teaching, so I stand in front of groups, but tonight, my legs are a little shaky and my feet just feel like going that direction. But I will make this offer to you. Now might be a good time to exit the room. So if you would like. No, honestly, this evening, it was actually 5:38. My cell phone rang and I was driving and I thought I could get a ticket and answer that, or I could pull over and chance that the car behind me is going to run into me. So I pulled over, chancing that the car behind me would run into me. I said hello and I heard, "Mary, it's Emma." And I thought, something's wrong. And she said, "What are you doing tonight?" And I said, "I don't know." And she said, "Do you want to go with me to Grass Valley to the open mic?" And right at that moment, the insane part of my brain, which resides right back here, came forth. And it said, "Sure, why not?" And I thought, I don't know how she wrote me into this, because I'm sitting here thinking, tomorrow, or tonight maybe, you guys probably throw tomatoes at me. So kindly don't do this. Alrighty, 2 weeks ago, I was asked to write my spiritual autobiography. And I've just recovered from a very severe illness, and I was driving to Safeway, and this came to me in the Safeway parking lot, of all of them places. It's only a beginning to my spiritual autobiography, but I do have to tell you, this is first fresh thought. So this is raw. This is by no means polished, not like you guys. Okay. My life has been a series of chapters, both memorable and bittersweet, each one specific, distinct, and clear. Though most have been filled with happiness and joy, not all have had the outcome I anticipated or expected or hoped for. I believe it is the push and pull, the yin and yang of my rising sun. I was born under Gemini, a twin. There are two sides, both this and that, up and down, in and around. I am not one without the other. Loving, kind, and generous, yet sometimes cruel and mean. Understanding and wise, yet sometimes naive. Neither black nor white. I am the very breath of opposite. The secrets I keep are none of my own. I hold no grudge, but my memory does not forget. 2 sides, 2 lives, all the same. I am my twin. Inside and outside, I am. I am a wife, a mother, a sister, a friend, an author, a quilter, advisor, leader, Catholic. I live each day to do the work God intends of me. I strive each day to show His mercy and love through my actions and my words. I choose love always.
Thank you.
You got more time, you know.
Yeah, you got more time. Okay. Now, here's the deal. Tonight, you've stepped through it. From now on, forever, this thing owns you. And it's what we want to say is thanks for joining us. You guys were wonderful. Now, somebody I haven't seen in a little bit, and I always enjoy her company, and I enjoy her thoughts, and I enjoy her sharing on stage and her poems. Martha Coyote. Come on up.
Two very short ones. Beasts. They say that if you take a beast to your heart, you could die, eaten out from within or be made a slave. They say that if you deny the beast, you can become a beast yourself, having denied your human heart. There are no rules I can give you. There are no rules. No rules at all. They say that some beasts are angels. There are no rules. And I never intended to say this one out loud, but I realized tonight all you have to do is say, please don't applaud. Thank you. For my uncle, Paul Kuhn, 1927, 1945. He was my mother's youngest brother. At 16, he tried to join the army and refused. At 17, he joined the infantry. He was killed on his 18th birthday, one day after the end of the war. Instantly, they said, by a landmine. He is buried on Leyte Island.
Thank you, sweetheart. So, and another one of my favorite people who is out here studying her stuff right now, lost in the stuff. In the stuff. We all have stuff, right? Not baggage, not junk. We have stuff. And it's good to have stuff, right? Direct to us from the Celtic Festival, 2 days of performance, which I'm always thrilled about. I just love this person. She never hugs me because I wear cologne. She's allergic to stuff. But, on the other side, I do want to say one thing about Martha's poem. Now we know why Dave's single. The beast. The beast.
I don't hug you because you're blonde either.
Huh? I'll tell you a secret. There's a gal in Sacramento that just loves this guy. If I tell her, Bill, I tell her. Okay. Don't tell her no more, just love her back. Myra Truga is here tonight to share the stage with us. Come on up, sweetheart.
Ah, yes, the Celtic Festival. Well, the frightening